Welcome back, everyone. We had an update on Friday, May 9th, 2025. I'm going to cover what I thought jumped out at me. If you want more information, please see the game's full patch notes. With that out of the way, let's jump in. First on the list, we're going to cover the creative mode. I think it was cool that they finally added that. It shows that all research is unlocked. You can, like the other games stuff in other games, when I say stuff, he says construction and assembly costs no resources and require just one cast to complete. So that's pretty cool. So you just kind of just do it and it's all complete. No events trigger, which is pretty cool because in some cases events can kind of become a thing. It can become overbearing. Resource quantities and harvest, gather, and mine amounts are tripled. That's pretty neat. So you can just kind of go about your business. So you can just go and build, and you just have an overabundance of whatever you want. Freeform room keywords let you freely build whatever room you'd like. So you could just kind of throw everything into a room and build whatever you wanted. So at the top they said free to build whatever, because they were talking about you could build the perfect school. For some this will be a practice mode, and for others you could try out different ideas. Yeah, I can see that. Next on the list is going to be gameplay. Added emergency priority to Fog Incarnate and Bramble Spawn. This causes all mages with the hunt job type set above never to attack, and then they return to normal behavior afterward. I think this is a great addition. I am very, very happy for this, because every single time I've had to, before this update, I've had to pause the game. Well, it pauses the game for me anyways. If you set the priorities prior to this, I had to pause the game, set everybody to emergency attack, and then afterwards reset everybody's abilities just to make sure that everything gets attacked. And I think this is a great addition to make sure that your school stays protected. Construct times for roof, wall, and floor blocks have been reduced. I think this is another great idea, because when you have your construction people or whomever is construction, they just spend so much time constructing, and then it takes away from teaching, and it just takes away from whatever else, and it spends a lot of time doing other things. I can easily see them saying that for cooking, because you'll see a lot of time getting chewed away from cooking, and that person will just spend so much time at that whatever station for cooking, especially if you've just got one or two people cooking, because it's just your fire people cooking, and they spend so much time trying to supply food for everybody that's cooking. Renamed Advanced Battle Difficulty to Advanced Battle Strategy. I think the comment that they had made for combat is combat gets repetitive when you're not playing on Relentless. We've now enabled Advanced Battle Strategy by default on Standard difficulty, and show that as top level checkbox when creating a new game. This is not about making the game harder, but about letting a full depth of combat systems show through the standard game. Like other difficulty settings, you can disable it at any time to simplify things. So that's going to be interesting. I'm going to be interested to try that, because like other rock paper scissors games, maybe like the easiest things to equate it to is like Pokemon. It's a little bit more in depth as you can get further into it. So I'm wondering if that's what they're kind of referring it to. It's a little bit more than it lets on to be, and they want that to be shown, other than just kind of cast, and they're like, oh, it's a little bit like Pokemon, a little bit like so you just have a little bit of fun with it. So I'm like, okay, I'm willing to try that out, because I'm willing to see how that works. Quest durations have been reduced to half. I'm okay with that. Anything that reduces the time away from letting you build your school and letting you develop your staff, because that's what this game is supposed to be, right? That's kind of what we got into the game, I believe, is developing our mages, developing our school, and fighting against that ever-encroaching fog. If you're spending so much time away from the school, then that chews out the amount of time, and I think that's a good thing. Quality of life. Summon queuing. Again, this is, I think, a good thing. Queue up multiple summons at once, so you don't have to keep coming back. This is a good thing for us as the player, because every single time we have to go like, okay, one's done. What's the next thing? It's almost like you have to keep a list in your notepad to remember, all right, what's the next thing on my list? What's the next thing on my list? And you forget. I have come back multiple times and I've forgotten 5 things on my list because I've gotten so far tracked away from what I needed to do. What's on the tangent list, right? Show the reason why right-click staff to lecture is not allowed. Yeah. There's reasons why this person is not allowed for one reason or another, and having that is a great thing. Show conviction value for staff on the higher ritual. I think that's a great addition, because when you have, because without knowing, you have to just kind of remember, so you know what's expected before crafting it. That's a good thing. Added feed alerts for terror, insomnia, and melancholic status. I think that's good, because the only way that you know about terror, insomnia, and melancholy is to go to their individual mage page by clicking on them. I think that's great, because it's one of those things like, prior to this, you just like, what is that? And you don't know. I had gone through a playthrough where everybody on my entire roster had terror, and having terror prevents a lot of things, or like adds debuffs for a lot of things. And everybody on my staff had terror, and I had no idea about it. So I think that's a great thing. Fix for relics getting destroyed if selected for multiple rituals. I think that's a great thing. It just prevents for certain issues. So let's see. Fix for quilted being crafted, showing up in groups. Anything that helps with the quality of my quilted, because that's your automation. Anything that takes away from anything that helps with the speed or quality of my quilted, making sure that they get back online faster is a plus for me. Let's see. This one involves the achievements. Anything that makes sure my achievements fix some cases where the Jade Dragon care value is 100%, but the player's not getting the achievement. Yeah, making sure we get our due when we are doing the work, right? That's 100% what we want. Let's see. Fix so that Golden Berries event fully negates 8 gut berry penalty. Yeah, so we want to make sure. So this is, so eating gut berries basically gets you a degen. It impacts negatively against your conviction. So eating golden berries, the golden berry events, basically this fixes that event to fully impact correctly. Let's see. No longer showing alerts for being tired while having an emergency job if mage has insomnia. So this is what makes sure it basically impacts you and it alerts you correctly. I like that. You want to be triggered. I say that. You want to be triggered. You want to be alerted when you're supposed to. No longer triggering a runaway event if the number of runaways will put the player over the population cap. So, this is basically one where it's if you're already hitting the 21, and then they're like, oh, okay. Basically, it'll basically take your person away, and then, if I'm not mistaken, you can get the ability to get them to come back. Basically, if you do things right, if I'm not mistaken, and so it'll basically put your population cap over if you get them back, and that's not what the game is. You want to be hard capped at 21, so we want to make sure that the game just caps you at 21, right? Fix a rare case where trying to place an entity in the world results in the entity being lost or never usable. I've not experienced that, so I'm wondering what everybody was experiencing when they say, quote, entity in the world results in the entity being lost or never usable. So I'm wondering what that is. Protect against mages consumed by fog advancement when being teleported into corrupted mana lantern rooms. So I've had that a couple times. Protect against mages consumed by fog advancement when being teleported into corrupted mana lantern rooms. It's a good thing where again, where you just something happens where you just lose and you're just like, what? How do I get them back? And you just kind of have no way or means to get them back. And you're just like, because they're just out there doing work, right? And they're just like consumed by the fog. And the only way to get them back, you would hope, is to kind of push that fog back. And then, like it says, it's just being teleported into corrupted mana, and you're just like, I'm lost, or whatever the case it is, and so, or they're lost, and so you're just like, oh, that's not helping. So anyway, last couple things I'm gonna leave you with. They stated, we have 2 more updates planned. The next one will add more guidance to the beginning of the game to help new players get started and explore ways to add more replayability to the game. After that, we'll be focused on quality of life, especially for commonly requested UI and planning improvements. So, while that's great and appreciated, quality of life, that's interesting to me, especially the wording. Is it that they just have only 2 updates? Or is that they've had 2 more updates on the way? So that's an interesting statement there. They're just like, all right, 2 updates planned, and then we're done with the game. Like we've washed our hands of the game, because it looks like the game has got pretty good feedback. So I'm interested with that. Other than that, I mean, I'm glad that they're kind of giving us a roadmap with that. But other than that, let me know what you're excited about. I'm personally excited about the gameplay, not so much the creative mode. I'm not going to be spending too much time in the creative mode, but the gameplay and the quality of life is where I'm excited about. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Other than that, I'm going to leave you here, and I'm excited to get to hear your comments. Talk to you later.